My little sister Millie lied to my dad's face, saying I was jealous of her and abusing her. With our grandmother coaching her, I finally confronted them both. After Millie accused me of manipulating everyone, I revealed the truth. I planned the whole dinner, and they tried to frame me. My dad kicked them both out, but the pain of betrayal still lingers. I still remember the first time I realized something was off. I was 8, maybe 9, sitting at the kitchen table in our old place in Lafayette, Louisiana. My grandmother, Evelyn, leaned over and pinched a lock of my hair between her bony fingers like it was something rotten. "Such coarse hair," she said, shaking her head. "That's your mama's side. You'd have better luck in life if you took after your daddy more." That was the first of many comments. Always subtle enough that my dad could wave them off, but sharp enough that they sank deep. I used to think that maybe I was too sensitive. Maybe she didn't mean it the way it sounded. But I was a kid, and she made sure I felt like the wrong kind. My name's Brian. I'm 17 now, still living in Lafayette, still trying to make sense of what growing up in that house did to me. My mom's Vietnamese American, born and raised in Biloxi. She's the kindest person I know. But Evelyn never let her forget that she wasn't one of us. Not once. The worst part? My dad never saw it. Or maybe he refused to. He loved Mom, I know that. But he loved his mother too, in a blind, stubborn way that made everything worse. A couple years back, he gave Evelyn a spare key to our house. "So she can stop by any time," he said like it was normal. I was 13 and already starting to dread the sound of her heels clicking down the hallway uninvited. She'd show up during dinner, critique Mom's cooking, or make some comment like, "Oh, you used fish sauce again? That smell just sticks, doesn't it?" And Dad would just smile, sip his sweet tea, and act like she was being charming. That constant intrusion turned our house into something that didn't feel like home. I started staying in my room more. Headphones in, music loud, door locked. Every visit from her made the air thicker, like we were holding our breath, just waiting for her to leave so we could exhale. But even when she wasn't there, her presence lingered. The tension never fully left. She'd make remarks about how pale I used to be before that Asian sun darkened you up, or how I had her sides bone structure. Thank God. Stuff that made my skin crawl. And even when Mom tried to laugh it off, I saw the way her shoulders tensed every time Evelyn spoke. It wasn't until a few months ago that it really hit me how toxic all of it was. Not just her comments, but the way she divided our family from within. And the worst part? I had grown up thinking that was normal. That families were just like that. But they're not. Or at least, they don't have to be. It started with a voice. I was sitting in the living room scrolling through my phone when I heard Millie from the kitchen talking to our grandmother on speaker. She was 12 then, still had that sing-song way of speaking, but something in her tone made me look up. I told Mom her eyes look all squinty in that photo. She looked mad but didn't say anything. And Evelyn laughed. "You're just like me," she said. "At least you know how to be honest. Not like some people." Some people. That meant me. That meant Mom. I felt the twist in my gut almost instantly. Millie used to be my shadow. She followed me everywhere, asked me questions about everything, used to cry when I wouldn't let her play video games with me. But over the past few months, she'd started changing, pulling away, getting snappier with Mom, parroting the same little jabs Evelyn always used. "She talks weird. Why does she always make rice? Can't we eat normal food? She's so dramatic." Every word felt like a stolen piece of her. And every time I pointed it out, my parents just brushed it off. "She's just growing up. She doesn't mean it." But I knew exactly where she was getting it from. Then one day, I came home from school early after skipping 7th period. I just didn't have it in me that day, and saw Millie at the kitchen counter with one of those plastic key-cutting kits from the hardware store. She looked up, startled, and tried to hide it behind her science project. "What's that?" I asked. "Nothing." But I saw it. A shiny brass copy of our front door key, still warm from the machine. "Is that for Grandma?" She didn't answer, just stared at me, frozen. And in that silence, I knew. Later that night, I told Mom. Quietly, in her room after Millie had gone to sleep. She made her another key. I said. Mom closed her eyes. "Brian, don't start. Your grandmother's old. She's just trying to stay involved." I wanted to scream. I wanted to shake her and ask how she could let this happen. But I didn't. I just nodded and walked out. That was the night I realized something had shifted for good. Millie wasn't just repeating Evelyn's words. She believed them now. She trusted her more than us. And worse than being angry, I felt completely alone. The idea of throwing a party for Evelyn's 85th birthday made me sick to my stomach, but Dad wasn't giving me a choice. "Just do it for me," he said, standing in the doorway of my room like that would make it less of an order. "She's not going to be around forever, Brian." I wanted to say, that wouldn't be the worst thing, but I bit my tongue. So I planned it. Every miserable detail. I booked the banquet room at Murphy's Tavern, the one with the fake wood paneling and the faded Irish flags. I ordered catered shepherd's pie and soda bread, because Evelyn always bragged about our pure Irish blood, conveniently ignoring that I was only half, and that the other half was the one she treated like gum on her shoe. I made flyers. I picked the tablecloths. I even arranged a slideshow of family photos, most of which Evelyn would probably criticize for having Mom in them. And of course, Millie refused to help. When I asked her to at least proofread the invite, she rolled her eyes and said, "Why are you so obsessed with this party? It's not even that important." But I knew what was coming. I knew she'd show up dressed like a princess and smiling like she'd done it all. The night of the party, I got there early to set up. Dad was already there, shaking hands with uncles and aunts I barely remembered. Mom stayed quiet in the corner, helping me light the candles on Evelyn's cake. Millie waltzed in an hour late, wearing a green velvet dress and red lipstick that made her look older than 12. Evelyn gasped like the Queen of England had just arrived. "There's my smart girl," she beamed, kissing Millie's cheek. "You look absolutely radiant." I stood behind the buffet table, sweaty from setting up chairs and trying not to choke on my own resentment. During dinner, someone clinked a glass. It was Millie. She stood up, holding her sparkling apple juice like a champagne flute. "I just want to say," she began sweetly, "this party wouldn't be possible without all the love in this room. Especially from me. I knew Grandma deserved something amazing, and I'm so glad I was able to help organize everything." There were nods, smiles, even applause. My fork slipped from my hand and clattered onto my plate. I opened my mouth, but Dad cut me off. "You couldn't just let her have a moment, could you?" he said through clenched teeth. "You had to make it about you." "I what?" "Outside. Now." He dragged me by the arm into the hallway like I was 5 years old. The second the door closed behind us, he turned on me. "You embarrassed her. In front of the whole family." "I didn't do anything." "You didn't support her," he snapped. "You let your jealousy ruin her speech." I stood there stunned. He actually believed her. All the work I'd done, ignored. All the lies she told, swallowed whole. I couldn't even look him in the eye. "Go back in," he said. "Try not to ruin the rest of the night." I didn't move. He walked away without waiting for me to follow. And for the first time in my life, I realized my father had no idea who I really was. But worse, maybe he didn't care to. Getting grounded wasn't new for me, but this time felt different. This wasn't about missing curfew or mouthing off. This was punishment for something I didn't do, or more like, something I didn't say. Dad was furious after the party. He said I had ruined a once-in-a-lifetime celebration. And until I could learn to respect my sister, I was confined to my room. No phone, no car, no exceptions. Meanwhile, Millie got the royal treatment. Ice cream after school. A new set of colored gel pens. Even a gold necklace Evelyn had apparently been saving just for her. I watched from behind my bedroom blinds as they left for lunch together. Evelyn in the passenger seat of Dad's truck, Millie riding shotgun like she owned the place. I felt invisible in my own house. One night, maybe 3 days into my sentence, I overheard them talking. Evelyn had stayed late. I was on the floor next to my closed door, ear pressed to the crack underneath, heart pounding. Millie's voice was hushed, but sharp. "She's so dumb, she won't even check." "Good," Evelyn replied. "Just make sure the earrings go deep in the back of the closet. Then we'll say we saw her coming out with a full bag. It'll be her word against ours." My stomach dropped. Earrings? Closet? It hit me all at once. They were going to frame Mom. I tore through my drawers. Phone gone, obviously. Dad had taken everything. But I remembered something. An old flip phone in the bottom of my desk, from a summer camp I'd gone to 2 years back. I dug it out, hands shaking. Battery was dead, but the charger was still in my closet. It powered on. No internet, no texting, just calls and voice memos. But it was enough. The next morning, I asked my brother, our middle sibling, 17 like me but quieter, to come to my room. He didn't say much usually, but I trusted him. I told him everything. He didn't ask questions. Just nodded and handed me an extra charging brick he had stashed for emergencies. "Get proof," he said. "Then we'll show Dad." That night, I tucked the flip phone under a pile of laundry in the hallway near the living room, where Evelyn and Millie always sat talking after dinner. I hit record, heart racing like I was defusing a bomb. I went back to my room and waited. At midnight, I retrieved the phone, listened to the muffled voices. It wasn't crystal clear, but it was enough. "Dad's already starting to doubt her," Millie whispered. "Exactly," Evelyn replied. "Once we pin this on her, your daddy will have no choice. She'll be gone. Gone." They wanted Mom out. They wanted her erased. And I was the only one who could stop it. I waited 2 more days. Not because I wanted to. Every second felt like I was holding my breath underwater, but because I needed to be sure. I needed Millie to admit it all. Out loud. No excuses. That Saturday, I told Dad I was taking out the trash and slipped the flip phone into my hoodie pocket. Then I went straight to Millie's room, shut the door behind me, and hit record. She was sitting on her bed, cross-legged, painting her nails. "Hey," I said, trying to sound calm. "We need to talk." She didn't even look up. "About what?" "I know about the earrings," I said. "And the closet. And what you and Grandma are planning." She froze. The nail polish brush hovered mid-air. Then she laughed like I had told a dumb joke. "You're paranoid. I heard you. You're framing Mom. You're trying to make Dad think she's stealing." She rolled her eyes. "Whatever. You don't know anything. You're lying," I said, stepping closer. "And I have proof. So either tell me the truth, or I go to Dad right now." Her face shifted, not fear, not guilt, but calculation. She put the brush down and stood up slowly. "You think anyone's gonna believe you," she said. "You're the one who gets angry all the time. You're the one who messes things up. Dad already thinks you're the problem." I clenched my fists, trying to stay steady. "Maybe," I said, "but I'm not the one stealing things. And I'm not the one planning to send our Mom away." That got her. Her lips parted slightly. She didn't deny it. "You don't understand," she snapped. "Grandma says she's toxic. That she's brainwashing Dad. That she's gonna ruin everything. So your solution is to lie?" I said. "To frame her." Millie looked down, breathing hard. Her voice dropped. "It wasn't just my idea. Grandma said, if we made Mom look unstable, like a thief or crazy or something, Dad would send her away. Maybe to some treatment center or something. And then things could go back to normal." I blinked. "She said what?" "She said it's for the best," Millie mumbled. "She said you should go too, because you're poisoned by Mom's influence. She said she could fix things. That she just needs a little more control." I felt the blood drain from my face. "You were gonna help her do that?" Millie's voice cracked. "I didn't want to. I didn't know what else to do." Then came the sound of a door opening. Dad's voice. "What the hell is going on in here?" He stood in the doorway, arms crossed, face unreadable. I could see it in his eyes. He'd heard everything. Millie turned pale. "Dad, I was just..." He held up his hand. "Don't. Not another word." I stood there, still recording, my heart hammering in my chest. Dad looked between us, silent for a moment. Then he pointed at Millie. "Out." She slipped past him without a word. He turned to me. "You have proof." I nodded and showed him the flip phone. For the first time in a long, long while, I saw doubt in his face. And something else. Regret. We waited until the next morning. Dad wanted to see everything first, the recordings, the photos of Millie's notebook where she'd scribbled out some half-baked plans, and the old text messages from Grandma where she hinted at cleansing the house of bad influence. He sat at the kitchen table, hands clasped, eyes red and tired. When I finished showing him everything, he didn't say much. He just nodded slowly and said, "We're calling a family meeting. Tonight." I didn't expect him to follow through. But he did. He made the calls himself. Told Evelyn to come over for dinner. Told Millie to be in the living room by 7 sharp. Told Mom nothing, said he wanted to handle it. She looked confused but didn't argue. She always did that. Stepped back. Let him lead. By 7, the house felt like a pressure cooker. I was standing just outside the living room, flip phone in my hand, still recording. Not because I thought I'd need it, but because I didn't trust anything anymore. Evelyn showed up wearing pearls and carrying a tray of lemon bars, like we were celebrating something. Millie sat curled up on the couch, face blank, arms folded. Dad stood in the center of the room, eyes on both of them. "I know what you've been doing," he said quietly. "Both of you." Evelyn blinked. "Excuse me. You tried to make my wife look like a thief. You encouraged Millie to steal and plant things in her closet. You've been manipulating this entire family." There was a pause. Then Evelyn laughed, sharp and forced. "Oh, for heaven's sake. Are we really entertaining this nonsense? Millie's a child. You think she's capable of something so twisted?" "I heard it," Dad said. "With my own ears." Millie shrank into the couch. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "Brian," she said, turning to me. "What lies have you been feeding your father?" I didn't answer. I just played the recording, the part where Millie said they were going to have Mom sent away. The part where Evelyn was named. Her words, Millie's voice. Clear enough. Evelyn's jaw twitched. "That's not what I meant. You're twisting everything." Dad stepped forward. "No, you twisted everything. You're siding with her?" Evelyn snapped. "After all I've done for you? After everything I gave up to raise you right? This is how you repay me?" He didn't flinch. "I'm siding with the truth. And with my wife. And with my son. The ones you've treated like garbage for years. You ungrateful little..." "That's enough." His voice boomed. Evelyn went silent. Then Mom stepped into the room. She must have been listening from the hallway. "Leave," she said softly. "Please." Evelyn looked around like she was seeing strangers. "I gave you everything," she muttered. "I was the backbone of this family." "No," Dad said. "You were the wedge." Evelyn turned to Millie. "Come on. We're going. You don't have to stay here." But Millie just sat there, tears in her eyes, unsure of what to do. Dad looked at her, voice flat. "Go with her, Millie. But I said go. Millie stood, sobbing now, and followed Evelyn out the door. I watched them leave through the window. The car drove off into the dark. The house was quiet again. Mom hugged me tight, and for the first time in a long while, Dad didn't look like a stranger. We didn't say much that night, but the silence finally felt like peace. The next morning, the house was still. No slamming doors. No judgmental glances. No tension humming through the walls. Just quiet. It should have felt peaceful, but instead, it felt like standing in the wreckage of a storm. Calm, sure, but nothing looked the same. Dad tried. He came into my room around noon, carrying a new pair of noise-canceling headphones, still in the box. I know you've been using those old earbuds, he said, setting it on my desk. Figured you might like something better. Thanks, I said. My voice sounded distant, even to me. He lingered in the doorway. I'm sorry, he added after a pause. For not seeing it. For not listening. I nodded. I appreciated the words. I did. But part of me wasn't ready to let them land. Later that week, he bought Mom a new recliner. Said her old one was hurting her back. She smiled and thanked him, but I could tell she didn't quite know what to make of the sudden kindness either. For years, she'd kept herself small in that house, trying not to ruffle feathers. Now the air was different, and she was starting to breathe deeper. She cooked less and let us order takeout. She started speaking up more when she disagreed with Dad. And he didn't argue, not like before. Something had shifted in him, like he was finally realizing how much he'd let slip past him while trying to play the peacekeeper. But as for me, I was still stuck somewhere in the middle. I'd won, in a sense. Evelyn and Millie were gone. The lies had unraveled. The truth had come out. And yet, I felt hollow. I didn't miss Evelyn, not for a second, but Millie? That was harder. We used to be close. We shared a room when we were little. She'd cry if I left her alone at night. And now, she was just gone. No apology. No goodbye. Just tears and a slammed door. Therapy started the next week. Family sessions first, then one-on-ones. I didn't talk much in the beginning. Just sat with my arms crossed, counting ceiling tiles and waiting for the hour to pass. But eventually, I opened up. A little. I feel like I got rid of the infection, I told the therapist one afternoon. But I'm still bruised all over. She nodded. That makes sense. You've been carrying this pain for a long time. Just because the cause is gone doesn't mean the wound is healed. I kept thinking about that. It stuck with me. Some days were okay. Others, not so much. I'd walk past Millie's room and feel a sting I couldn't explain. I'd catch Dad staring at old pictures and pretending not to. We were trying. But the damage? The damage was still there, just beneath the surface, waiting to be understood. 2 weeks after the dust settled, we got a letter. Not just any letter, a legal one. Certified mail. Thick envelope, bold lettering. A return address from some tiny town in Mississippi where Evelyn had a friend who still practiced law. Dad opened it at the kitchen table while Mom and I stood nearby. What is it? Mom asked. He didn't answer right away. Just kept reading, lips pressed into a tight line. Then he dropped the papers onto the table and rubbed his eyes. She filed a complaint, he said quietly. Accusing you of alienation and moral sabotage. Says you manipulated Brian and ruined our family's traditions. I picked up the first page. There it was, in black and white. Evelyn's twisted version of events. She claimed Mom was eroding the Irish identity of the household, accused her of turning me against my own blood, and called her an emotional saboteur. There was even a section that accused Mom of spiritual neglect, whatever that meant. It was nonsense, but it was dressed up in enough legal language to make it look official. She wants a hearing, Dad muttered. She's requesting an investigation into our household. Says Millie is at risk. I looked at Mom. She wasn't crying. She wasn't even blinking. Just staring at the paper like it was in a different language. I could feel my fists clench. She's not just trying to come back, I said. She wants control again. Dad stood up. Not this time. We got a lawyer. A real one. Someone Dad found through a friend at work. He went through the letter, page by page, and calmly told us it was garbage. She's hoping to scare you into backing down, he said. That's all this is. She doesn't have a case. Still, we had to show up. There was a hearing scheduled 2 weeks later. A judge. A mediator. Evelyn brought Millie, who wore a church dress and wouldn't make eye contact with any of us. The judge didn't waste time. After reviewing the so-called evidence and hearing our side, including the recordings and diary photos, he dismissed the complaint in under an hour. There is no merit to these claims, he said, voice steady. And frankly, this borders on harassment. He turned to Evelyn. You're lucky I'm not charging you with filing in bad faith. Evelyn started to speak, but the judge raised a hand. We're done here. He issued a restraining order, limited contact, no unsupervised visits, and no communication with me or Mom unless approved through a family counselor. Millie stood there, stiff and wide-eyed, like she couldn't believe what was happening. Evelyn tugged her arm, trying to leave with dignity, but her shoulders were hunched and her jaw was tight. As they walked past us in the hallway, Millie glanced at me. Just for a second. She looked like she wanted to say something, but she didn't, and I didn't stop her. Later that night, sitting on the back porch, Dad handed me a soda and clinked his own bottle against mine. "I let her run this family too long," he said. "I'm sorry for that." I nodded. "I know." We sat in silence for a while, just watching the trees sway. For once, I didn't feel like a pawn in someone else's game. For once, I felt like I had a say in my own story. It's been 4 months since the hearing. 4 months without Evelyn's voice echoing through the house. 4 months without Millie's footsteps running down the hall, or her burst of laughter during late-night TV. The quiet isn't loud anymore. It's just quiet. I wish I could say I feel whole again, that standing up to them fixed everything. But healing doesn't work like that. There are days when I wake up and forget any of it happened. For a second, I'm just a normal kid, about to graduate high school, thinking about summer plans and college applications. Then I'll walk past Millie's room, the door's still closed, her keep out sign hanging crooked, and the whole thing comes rushing back. The betrayal. The lies. The way she looked at me that day outside the courthouse, like she wanted to say something but didn't know how. I still don't know if I hate her. That's the part that eats at me. Because I want to. I should. But a part of me still remembers the little girl who used to fall asleep with her head on my shoulder during road trips. The one who begged me to teach her how to ride a bike. I wonder if she thinks about me. I wonder if she regrets any of it. Or if Evelyn's voice still rings louder in her head than her own thoughts. Therapy's helped. Not in some magical, instant fix way, but in small, steady doses. Like being handed tools I never knew I needed. I've started writing again, not essays for school, but journals, late at night, when everything feels too heavy to say out loud. Mom's different now too. Not timid, not like before. She stands taller when she talks. Speaks up when she disagrees with Dad. She started taking a ceramics class at the community center. The first time she came home with a lopsided little bowl, she laughed and said, "I made something that doesn't have to be perfect." And Dad? He's trying. He still stumbles over apologies sometimes, still gets defensive now and then. But he listens more. He asks how I'm feeling instead of assuming. He even offered to drive me to therapy once, which is something I never imagined happening. The house isn't fixed, but it's quieter, more honest. Some days, I still feel like a bruise that hasn't fully healed. But now I know what that pain is, where it came from, and most important, that it's not my fault. I'm not whole yet, but I'm finally learning how to become.